everybody, it's Maria Willis from Cardboom here for Tonic Studios, and we have the new stamp lunch in our hot little hands, and I'm ready to go make some cards. So let's head over to my desk and have some fun. Okay, so for today's cards, we're going to be using this gorgeous new Heartfelt Corsage stamp set. I'm going to be using that main floral stamp at the top, as well as the coordinating dies and some stamps from this Happy Mail envelope set as well. That set's great for adding sentiments and decorating your envelopes in the back of your cards. For my first card, I'm starting by putting an ink blended panel in the bottom right corner of my stamp positioner. I'm using the large floral image, and I'm using a sentiment at the bottom just to make sure that my placement is correct. Now I'm using an anti-static powder tool to eliminate static from my card because I'm going to be heat embossing. I'm using Clear Mark ink, which is a sticky ink, to stamp my image. That will allow my heat embossing powder to stick to the card. Remove your card from the stamp platform, and you'll see that even though it's almost invisible, you can see the slight sheen where the ink is sticking to your paper. It's shiny because it's still wet. Now you can see that as I sprinkle the white heat embossing powder over my card, it sticks wherever that wet ink was. So here's a close-up look at what this looks like before I heat emboss it. The white is a little bit more faded, and as I heat it up, it will become more bold. This is a new technique that I've been using to heat emboss, where I put my heat tool behind the cardstock. This helps prevent the powder from blowing off and creating spots on my card. So that's finished. We're going to put it aside, and now we're going to stamp again with that same Clear Mark ink, and this time instead of heat embossing, we're just going to use it to create a watermark or tone on tone look with our stamped image. So you can see that as that ink dries, it's just going to leave us with a beautiful tone on tone image of our stamp. Now I'm going back to my ink blended panel, and I'm going to stamp that sentiment on the bottom left corner. This time I'm going to be using permanent black shadow ink. I like this ink because it's bold and crisp. So now that one is done. We're just going to adhere it to a card base. I've already put foam adhesive on the back of it, and now I just need to center it on one of these pre-cut card blanks. I really love these card blanks because it means I don't have to cut anything or fold anything on my own. Now back to this clear marked stamped image, we're going to use the coordinating dies to cut this out. So I just center that over the top of the floral image, and I use small pieces of washi tape to hold the die down. And now I'm going to put it between my cutting plates and run that through my tangerine. I only need to run this through once, and I'm going to end up with a perfect cut. And this was kind of funny. I opened up my cutting plates and I was like, where did my die cut go? But there it is. It's just stuck to the bottom of the top plate. So pop, that just came out perfectly and easily. And now I have this beautiful, perfectly cut out image. So that's going to go right on the front of my card like that, but I decided that I wanted to have a little bit of color coming out of the background. So I'm using some purple ink to ink blend, and I know that that spot in the center looks horrible, but that's going to be behind the floral image, and I wanted the color to be radiating out from behind the floral image. So I started in the center and blended softly outwards towards the edge of the card, fading it into white on the edges. Now I'm going to create my own sentiment from this Happy Mail envelope stamp set, and I would want this to say Sending Smiles. I love this bold font of this Sending Smiles. It reminds me, it's classy, but it's also a little bit graffiti-ish, so I feel like you can use it on a lot of different types of cards. And now you can see what I'm showing you here is that I used the lines on my stamp platform to make sure that my sentiment was lined up properly. So you don't have to eyeball it. Use those lines if you're not sure. So again, I used that same black shadow ink, and all I have to do now to finish this card off is to put some foam adhesive on the back of that die cut and pop it on. I wanted it to have a little bit more detail to it, so I ended up grabbing my dream drops and adding dream drops over the tops of the flowers and some on the background as well. Dream drops are my favorite drops because I seem to be able to get perfect drops every time, and I'm not even scared to put them straight onto my project. So that's just a tip if you're looking for a new drop. Now, I decided that I wanted to make a coordinating envelope for that ink blended card. So I've already gone ahead and ink blended the background on this envelope. But what I want to show you is that you can stamp anywhere you want on a card or on an envelope just by hanging hanging the envelope or the card out of the side of your stamp positioner. So I'm just placing it where I want, putting my magnets on. Make sure you put your magnets on first, otherwise it won't stay in place, and then stamping down. And this time I'm just using black ink for more of a bold, striking look. So I've done one on the bottom left of the envelope. Now I'm going the bottom right. If you could go all the way around and create a frame. Now I've decided that I'm going to do some on the flap, and I just decide to go on one side of the flap, leaving a little bit of room so that I can add a sentiment to the right side of the flap. So there we go. I've used the Not Licked stamp from the Happy Mail envelope set, and now I'm checking out the back of that card, and I just want to add a little bit of something more to that as well. So I'm pulling out a couple of stamps, and I'm going to put this card into my stamp positioner, and this works because I haven't added dimension onto the front of my card yet. If I tried to do this with a card that had a die cut on the front, I probably wouldn't get even stamping at this point. So I put the bottom stamp on first so that I wouldn't have trouble with spacing, and it says, "I made this for you, you can never throw it away." I love how you can mix and match those sentiments. So that is it for this card and this envelope. So let's take one more look at the other card that we made. It's just a simple, sweet card that I think will be easy to reproduce. Now remember, if you are interested in checking out any of these products, you can find them right now on the Tonic Studios websites. Just follow the links in the description box below. Have an awesome day, you guys. Bye.